Well, welcome everyone. It's the fourth installment of the Employers Healthcare Alliance Summer School Series. Wow, July has gone super fast. And we're really excited to bring this Compare Meds RX to you. It's kind of like the Expedia of medication cards. But before we start that, let's just touch base on a little bit about the summer school um, housekeeping, if you will. Over the next 30 to 40 minutes, you'll hear all about Compare Meds RX, how it helps employees address their challenges and helps you as an HR and benefits professional make your life a lot easier and really reduce costs. And really giving the employees a practical way to compare medication costs, putting it in they're the drivers, putting them in the driver's seat to identify the lowest cost in the areas around their town, around their area by zip code. So you can participate by raising your hand, and then we'll pause a little bit and you can ask your question. And then as we finish the webinar today, this is being recorded. We'll break the webinar down into 4 vignettes and start posting those on LinkedIn shortly. It'll also be available on the YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more information on that, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll leave my information at the end of this presentation, so you can be sure to reach out to me and I'll get that information to you. So let's start with Compare Meds RX. This is really exciting. As it was explained to me, it's, like I said, the Expedia of medication cards. You know, you have Good RX, which is one card, and it has some substantial price breaks. But what if there are other cards out there? How do you know that? Well, if you're like me, you don't know. You just go to the pharmacy and you pick up, pharmacy down the road, and you just pick up your medication, and then someone else says, oh, I'm on Lipitor and mine was only, $5 or whatever. And mine was 10. So it's after the fact that you find out, wow, there's different prices at different pharmacies. I did know that, but I didn't know it was that substantial. So I'm thrilled to invite Meds RX or Compare Meds RX. I always get that wrong, by the way. Compare Meds RX to the webinar. And Brittany Conway is joining us from Compare Meds RX. Hi, Brittany. How are you?
Hey, Kay. Thank you for inviting me today. If you want to let me hop over and share my screen.
Yeah, while you're sharing your screen, we'll just kind of talk a little bit about how we can simplify the experience and really what the challenges are. Like I said, people just don't know that there's different prices for the same medication, generic medication. You saw there, Lipitor was $1.76. Well, if you go to Walmart or CVS or whatever, it could be $5. Mm-hmm. Many times those generic meds are $4 and $5. So let's dive in a little bit to Compare Meds RX. So I'd like to frame the issue a little bit. Mm-hmm. Prescription drugs are not just a plan expense. They are so complicated, and employees experience a lot of frustration. And like I said, just not knowing where to go and who to see. So when an employee goes to the pharmacy to pick up their meds, it's the price. It's the price that they're charging at the counter. It's point of service. But if you do a little bit of research beforehand, you can shop around for the lowest price by your zip code. So that's what I'm looking at today as far as, educating all of us about, hey, you don't have to just use one card. There are multiple cards, just like Expedia. You don't have to go to one hotel. You can shop around a little bit. So tell us a little bit from your perspective, what you feel is the core problem Compare Meds RX solves for employers and employees.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kay. You framed the product perfectly. We like to think of ourselves as the Expedia.com of medication discount cards. And here's something that a lot of HR and benefits leaders, they don't realize, that this is not just a problem for your uninsured population. It cuts across every type of coverage you offer, and the numbers are pretty eye-opening. So if you take a look at this slide, you'll see we have about 19 million adults nationally who are completely uninsured. They pay full price with no safety net whatsoever. Then 48 million people are on high deductible plans. And those employees are basically paying cash for most of the year, often towards a deductible that they'll never actually meet. and they don't really want to have that plan, but that plan is probably the most affordable for their family. So they're stuck choosing something like that. But the one that really surprises benefit leaders is the fully insured population, which is about 116 million adults. And of course, all these numbers are in the US, right? So about half the time, the cash price through a discount program is actually lower than an insurance copay. And I think that that's something a lot of people don't realize. You hand over your insurance card and you assume because you have insurance that you're getting the best deal available.
Well,
So just
that's what the insurance will pay, right? So
right.
just to kind of summarize what you just said, because I think sometimes people look at GoodRx or cards like that as, hey, I don't have insurance, this is going to be my lowest cost. But if I have an HSA or I'm fully insured, I can still go on the CompareMedsRx site and search for, hey, this might be a better deal than what I'm getting with my insurance coverage.
Absolutely. And, we don't promise to always have the lowest price for every medication, but we want users to just know that they have options and that it pays off to just check the price before you check out at the register.
And I know we'll get into this a little later down the road, but it's as simple as using it like you do Expedia. You go on the website, you click through, you put your address in or your zip code in, and it populates, like I showed you on that beginning slide, all of
Mhm.
these different prices in your location. You don't have to drive 60 miles to get the lowest cost because that defeats the purpose a little bit.
Correct. Correct. So before I show you exactly how the product works, I would just like to speak a little bit more about the issue at hand here. So what I just showed you about the different types of coverage, that's kind of looking at it from an employee lens and a coverage lens. But from an HR and benefit leader lens, this is happening against a backdrop that I know is top of mind for everyone because healthcare costs overall are projected to rise 10% in 2026, which is the biggest jump in 15 years. And the pharmacy line item specifically is projected to go 11 to 12% higher, outpacing every other category. That means that the average employer sponsored plan is now running over $18,500 per employee annually. But the stat that matters the most is what this means for the employees. 4 in 10 adults have already started rationing their medications. They skip doses, cut pills in half, or they don't fill the prescription at all because they're so worried about the cost and maybe it doesn't fit in their budget anymore with the plan that they had to choose. Or so as benefit leaders, you know what happens next: worse health outcomes, more ER visits, more claims. It's a vicious cycle because those things only result in more increased premiums for those health plans.
I mean, you hear it every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially with older adults, which it really affects all of the PBM and the pricing and the confusion. I mean, it's hard for us as healthcare professionals to understand all of the pricing and how can it be different from one pharmacy to another? I mean, we kind of know why, but for the average American, especially maybe older adults or adults that are kind of balancing family and do I feed my kids? Do I get my medication? I'll cut back on medication because it's too much, or I'm spending $20 a month, $40 a month,
Yeah.
and that's things that they're investing in their family. So that's really hard. That's a really good point.
It is a real problem. And our CEO experienced it firsthand. He was shopping for medications for his ill father and thought, oh my gosh, this is costing us so much out of pocket. Started signing up for these individual cards, one by one. And he's like, this just takes so long, but the savings are great. There's got to be a better way. So let's talk about what makes CompareMeds different, because this is the piece that's most relevant to how you will describe it to your teams. So we aggregate pricing from more than 24 prescription discount cards. That means that we put feelers out, we pull all the data in and show you everything in one place. So you don't have to go register for those individual sites. We have a 25th discount card coming online within the next 90 days, and we will surface the lowest price for the medication you search every time. This is at across more than 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. So we talked a little bit about the Expedia model, right? Nobody goes to Expedia because they're loyal to one airline. They go because they want the best price. And that's exactly what we do for prescriptions. We never promote one card over another, and we do not charge a fee ever to access lower prices. The lowest price will always be what shows up first. And most of the players in this space, GoodRx included, right? That's one of them. They're single card solutions. They show you pricing from one program, and that's it. And in some cases, they charge a subscription fee to unlock the lowest prices. For your employees, this means one simple place to search, compare, and save with no guesswork. So it's a win-win.
So I don't know if it's just me, but I was not aware there are 24, 25 cards. You know, you think of GoodRx, and there's a couple other cards that, you know, the name escapes me right now, but I was not aware there are 24 cards, 25 cards or more that are out there.
Plenty more than that. We're trying to bring as many as we can onto our platform because they all deserve a name, right? GoodRx has a monster advertising budget, so they're able to reach the most households. But you'll be surprised, like 18 out of 20 times, we beat GoodRx's prices. I
Right.
mean, and by pulling in the littler guys that most people don't know about.
So you also touched on something here. What you see is what you get. If I go to, on this example in the middle column, if I go, or yeah, the middle column, the middle one, Osco, $10.41. You CompareMedsRx does not charge an extra dollar to access this data. In fact, accessing this site is at no cost, correct?
It is totally free. We will never charge you to sign up. We will not charge you a subscription fee. This is our bread and butter. This is what we do. And we just want users to make sure that they have access to price transparency and are getting the best deal. So if it's okay with you, I have a little video here that shows exactly what the platform looks like. It kind of gives a really good overview of what we're trying to do and a real use case. It's only about 1.5 minutes long. So I'll go ahead and play that.
Hold on one second. Let's see if there's any questions on anything that Brittany has covered so far from the audience before we jump into this video.
I don't have a question, but this is unbelievable.
It is, isn't it?
I'm still stuck on 25 different discount cards. I mean, geez.
Yeah, it has been an incredible journey. And, you know, we have more reaching out to us, lining up saying, we want to be on your platform, help us be visible to more people. So I think, you know, what we're doing is really important and it matters. And as we spread the word, we'll be able to bring on more and more cards.
You know, I'm just glad that you said that, Bob, because I was thinking, gosh, I just never heard of that before. Daryl, you have a question?
Yeah, this time I do have a question. So if I have insurance, let's say Blue Cross Blue Shield, and my doctor writes a script for lisinopril, I can go onto your service and go find out where to get it the cheapest.
That's correct.
Okay. And it doesn't affect, so whatever that cost is, that's my copay, right? Whenever I show up, I'm just going to pay whatever that number is, and that's it.
Yeah. So Daryl, this is kind of how it works. What I would do in that scenario, you know, a lot of times if you go to the same pharmacy, they'll text you, right, and tell you your prescription's ready. This is how much it'll cost. Do a quick comparison before you go pick it up. If our price is lower than your copay, and you don't mind that it's not going to go towards your deductible, then by all means use our discount and get the lower price. But I do want to call out that if you're using Compare Meds instead of your insurance, the amount does not go towards a deductible. So it's completely outside of insurance.
That's a good point. Thanks, Brittany. Thank you, Daryl. Okay, well, let's listen to the video, and perhaps some other questions will be triggered from the video itself.
Definitely. Uh-oh, having a little bit of an issue. There we go. Good old technology.
I don't see it playing, Brittany.
Technology.
Yeah, we just tested this right before the webinar too, so.
Oh no. Okay, I wonder what changed. Hang on a second. Let's see if we can figure that out.
While you're doing that, I mean, I think one of the things that I really like about CompareMedsRx is they're really in it for the employee and the employer, trying to get the bottom line dollar as best we can. There's a lot of rebates out there. There's a lot of, you paid this. You know, I was prescribed a medication that would cost me $5,000 a month, and I was thinking, I am not going to pay $5,000 a month for this medication. So they sent me a $0 card for the first month, and then the second month it was going to be $2,000.
I have heard that model as well. That's probably more of like a manufacturer discount.
It was, yeah, it's from the company itself, but it was, and it's not a medication that I need, right? It's for psoriasis. So it's like, okay, so I itch a little bit more or something. $5,000. I mean, when we look at the cost of medications today, it's unbelievable.
Oh yeah. I mean, some of them, especially the ones that you'll see advertised on TV and things like that, it is jaw dropping.
Yeah, it really is.
All right. I think I have us figured out here.
All right.
I need to share my tab audio, and I have that on. So let's give it one more shot. And I tell you what, if we can't get it to work, I certainly will link this in the chat for anyone to watch outside of this presentation.
There you go.
All right, let's see.
Basically doing all the heavy lifting of price comparison.
Oh, do you hear it playing twice? Because I do.
No, I just hear it once.
Okay.
For you. Checking a dozen different sites to try to find a good deal is not a smart use of your time. CompareMedsRx scans and presents pricing from over 23 different prescription discount providers all on one screen. We surface hidden discounts you probably didn't even know existed, saving you a ton of time and beating competitor pricing on 18 out of 20 of the most commonly prescribed medications. The process itself is incredibly simple. Just enter your medication, compare real-time prices across a network of over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide, and simply show the winning digital card to your pharmacist to claim your discount. Now, you might be wondering, so what's the catch? Is there some hidden subscription fee? Absolutely not. It's 100% free with no subscription required. Let's look at one example of how this plays out in real life. Imagine you have a high-deductible health plan where you're paying entirely out of pocket for all your meds until you hit a massive deductible. That's exactly where CompareMedsRx can help, bringing you immediate discounts before your coverage even kicks in. CompareMedsRx takes the guesswork out of prescription pricing, ensuring you always walk away with the absolute best deal right in your pocket. Create your free account today at CompareMedsRx.com.
So it's really that simple. Now let's talk a little bit about, I'm an HR director or I work in benefits, and I'd really like to get this out to my employees. What do I have to do? How much work do I need to put into this? And how much time is it going to take me to set this up and communicate everything to my employees?
I'm glad that you asked. So we do all the heavy lifting, Kay. All of our integration models are completely free, and they are quick and easy to stand up. So I've listed a couple here that I want to talk about. Our full API integration is what we recommend for the highest engagement. So what this means is that we would work with you to place our product in a benefit software module, maybe in a company intranet or an HRIS platform that has a landing page that employees log into. This way, we're getting visibility, we're top of mind. If the employee clicks on a tile, we can enable the single sign-on method where all of their information is passed over. They don't have to register for anything, right? This makes it kind of the most seamless experience.
Brittany, all you would need from the HR director then at that point is an eligibility file, correct?
Correct. And it's not even a ton of information. We need about 5 fields: the employer name, the employee first name and last name, phone number and email address. It's that easy.
And then this also covers dependents, correct?
Yes. So anyone can use the discounts on our site. It could be the employee, the dependents. If they wanted to use it for a family member who's not a dependent, it's free to everyone. I do want to mention that we also offer white labeling if there's any employer that's interested in that. And we do that for free, so we can make the product look like it is your own product as a company. but it is served by our search engine. And if you're not interested in single sign-on or APIs, white labeling, any of that, what we do is we call it the affiliate program. We'll create a unique link that is attributed back to that employer. And that's it. The employees can go to that link once it's shared with them and use the product from there.
So with the affiliate program, would you still ask for the eligibility file, or is it just,
No.
That's what I thought. Anybody that I could share my link with Bob or Daryl and say, hey, I signed up for this. Here's a link. You're welcome to use it.
Yes, that is correct. And I do want to mention that the purpose of the link is so that we can show attribution back to the employer. All of the data is going to be anonymized, of course, but we want to be able to show the value of our product to that employer and say, this is how many of the people who signed up for our site through your organization are redeeming discounts or searching for medications. We can even drill down to what sort of medications are your population searching for? Are they interested in GLPs? Are there a high number of medications for depression? Like maybe we can help you gain some insights into your workforce. And the benefit of having that data is when it comes time for your benefits renewal, you can share that data to tailor your plan a little better to what your workforce needs.
So there are reports that are sent to the employer on usage and cost savings and the like?
Correct. Yes, there are monthly usage reports that we can share that can give detailed, that's drilled down to gender, age range. But again, like I said, totally anonymized. There's no personal identifiable information in any of the data we share.
Wow. Now let's step back to something else you said. You mentioned GLP. I know that you also have a special program for GLP pricing, and it's home delivery.
We do.
Free, by the way, just to clarify.
Yeah, so that would be a service that we partner with a third party on. They're a great partner, Lassie Health, and basically we connect you with their telehealth services to be able to get a prescription if you need it, and they can deliver that straight to your door. Now, we do have discounts offered through our regular prescription discount search available for GLPs. But, with those name brand GLP medications, the discounts are there. They're not amazing. I will be fully transparent there. The discounts that you'll find on our site, the really huge ones, are probably the biggest when it comes to generic medications, though we do offer brand name discounts as well.
Okay, well, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I want to look at this really quick from an employee standpoint. Let's see what this workflow would look like if an employee were to use our product. So this is an example on methylphenidate. It's a common ADHD medication. And you'll see here the workflow for a high deductible health plan employee. She goes to Walgreens, uses her insurance, and pays a $40 copay that counts toward her deductible. But since she's on a high deductible plan, she's been paying out of pocket all year, and she might never hit that deductible. So if you use that same prescription at the same Walgreens with a discount on our site, you can get it for $23.72. That's $16.28 back in her pocket today, rather than throwing it at a deductible she might never meet. So we talked a little bit earlier about how, a lot of families need that extra money for a grocery cost or gas or schooling, whatever the case may be. That $16.28 can become pretty important, especially whenever you stack it up over multiple medications.
Now, if the employee wanted to attribute this to their deductible, could they send it in to their insurance company by themselves?
That's a tricky one. So in a rare circumstance, we have seen that may be accepted by a couple insurance companies, but generally it is not. So I do want to be clear that our discount program is outside of insurance, and everyone should go into it with that mindset. However, you are able to use funds from an HSA or FSA to purchase any of the medications using discounts from our site. It just would not be applied to the plan individual. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's individually facilitated. I mean, it doesn't hurt to try. Daryl, do you have a question?
Yeah. Let's say my employer, we see this, or now that I know that it's there, my employer says, well, we're not going to participate. Could I still participate if I take 3 or 4 meds?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Even if an employer chooses not to participate, anyone can sign up for our site. We offer it as an employer benefit because we work with employers on the data sharing piece. And also I'll mention, kind of in my next slide, there's a small rev share opportunity for employers, but any person in the United States could sign up for our site completely free of charge and use these discounts.
That's awesome. Thank you.
All right, let's get to the employer side of things.
Absolutely. So there's 6 benefits that you can see here. From your perspective as the benefits decision maker, this is a zero cost, zero financial risk value add that you can bring to your organization. From your employee's perspective, medication adherence goes up, which we mentioned earlier means fewer HR visits, less absenteeism, and lower downstream claim costs, which is especially impactful if your organization is on a self-funded plan, right? Employees who are not stressed about affording their medications show up to work healthier, they perform better, and that's a productivity ROI you can point to. This is one of those rare solutions where the value flows in every direction at once for you, for your organization, and for the people that you're responsible for supporting. So I do want to speak really quick to the rev share model. And that is, a lot of people say you offer this product for free. Well, that's crazy. How do you make money? How can you share revenue whenever we're not paying you anything, right? So we are able to work with the card vendors to earn revenue every time a discount code is used. And we will share that revenue with you for your usage at your organization. So that's what we mean here when we say rev share. If that's something you guys are interested in, we're happy to speak to anyone about what that could entail. But I did just want to point that out because you will.
What have you seen as an average? Just throw a number out there of, let's say it's 100 employees, for example. What do you usually see as a rev share? I know it's all dependent upon usage, but what do you usually see as a rev share for an employer group of 100 people?
So I'll say it this way. It's based on engagement rate.
Right.
So our engagement rate right now is about 20% of the employees will go on our site and redeem discount codes for medications. So the higher the engagement rate, the better the rev share will look, right? So of course it would benefit anyone to have higher engagement. However, the really interesting thing that we're seeing is that 50% of the people who use a discount code on our site return and use another code within 30 days, which tells us that this product is extremely valuable and that there is definitely a value here to be had. So long story short, I will say that the engagement is driven by the employer. We give them everything they need to help spread the word about CompareMeds. We will help with the lift and the integration. And the more we can tell people about our mission and our savings, the higher those engagement levels are.
Well, it's a little bit of a carrot for the employer. Hey, you have 100 employees, 20% utilize it. That's 20 people that you're getting rev share from. If you get that up to 50 people, guess what? Your rev share goes up.
That's exactly right.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about the implementation and that, CompareMedsRx really takes the heavy lifting on. Just in wrapping up today, let me pause here to see if there are any other questions that you have for Brittany before we kind of recap and wrap up.
I'm on your site, so I'm about to download your stuff. Not a question, I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm about to download it.
You're just a little excited.
I am excited, man. I have to tell you, this is just unbelievable.
I'm happy to hear that, Daryl.
So let's just wrap up with a few key themes that stood out to me. Obviously, CompareMedsRx really addresses challenges the employee and the employer face. From the employee perspective, dang, this is so complicated, and hey, it can be really costly. And I hear a lot about GoodRx, but that's one card. Now we learned today that there are more than 25 cards. And that can be overwhelming in itself, right? Okay, now what card do I use? There's 25 cards. What card is going to give me the lowest price, and how far do I have to drive? So I go into the CompareMedsRx site, and I put in my zip code. He has Chicago because that's where Hitton lives. Chicago, and it pops up probably more pharmacies than are in my backyard. But now I can also choose. So it's really putting the employee in the driver's seat. I can go to CVS, I can go to Walgreens, wherever the choice is, I can now make that choice to go to that location. So it really reduces the employee out-of-pocket cost. And then we talk about the employer, right? We saw that costs are going up exponentially around the board, around the whole board for healthcare in general. But medications, I mean, every time I turn around, there's a new medication on TV. Now we know that that's brand, but sooner or later, hopefully they come to generic. But it also gives the employer, now when somebody's sitting in the employer's office, in the HR director's office, and if you're an HR director, I'm sure that you've built that trust and that relationship where somebody's going to come to you and say, I cannot afford to buy my meds. Mm-hmm. And what are you going to do? This gives an opportunity to share with them point of service, point of care. Hey, here's a site for you. Even if you don't join CompareMedsRx as a organization, it gives you an option to show them this is how you can reduce your costs. I think the other part is the burden on HR, but also the clear message that stood out to me is, hey, search around before you actually buy. Even if you have an HSA or HDHP or fully insured, I'm fully insured, but I go in and pay whatever I'm supposed to pay. But I'm sure going to sign up for CompareMedsRx because, hey, maybe I don't have to run it through insurance. Maybe my cost is going to be lower, right? So those were the key components that stood out to me. Brittany, is there anything else you'd like to leave the folks on the webinar with today?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say whenever you're shopping for your medications, think of it as you would any other purchase. You will shop around for the best deal when it comes to groceries, right? The sale ads, you'll shop around for sales on clothes, best prices on vehicles, whatever you consume. Make it a practice to check the prices of your medication because you could be putting money back in your pocket you were not even aware of.
Well, I think the best analogy that I've heard since meeting Hitton and talking with you is, look, I use Expedia, hotels.com to jump. It's easy too, right? I don't have to go to all these different websites and then make a reservation or call or whatever it is. And hey, by the way, if I need to cancel, I can get on that same website and ask questions and get it canceled. So it's the engine that really generates all of the card comparisons and does all the work. I just have to click on the site and put in my zip code.
That's exactly right.
So I don't think it could be any easier. And I need to start using this too. So Daryl, you have one more question?
Last question, I promise. Is it an app that downloads? Because once I put in my information, it said, you're already registered. And I didn't know that I was registered.
Interesting. So probably whenever you guys joined us as a partner, we may have done an initial registration with you guys. But we do have an app that will be coming out in about 30 days or so. We've been working very hard on it. So right now, if you want to sign up for the site or use a discount, go to our website. We will make sure that we have an announcement bold as they come on the website as soon as our app launches, and that will be available in the iOS and Google Play Store.
Thank you, Brittany, for joining us. And hey, thanks everyone for joining the fourth installment. Can't believe next week is August, but next week we'll have MedWell, which is a wellness program platform, if you will, with webinars, education, incentives, and all like 50 plus challenges. Plus they do health coaching. That's supposed to be 11 a.m. Eastern time. And to access the webinar, hey, just reach out to me. I'm happy to get you that link. We also will have the webinar posted on the YouTube channel. You can also get into the Employers Healthcare Alliance website. And don't forget about the digital resource library. Information such as CompareMedsRx and other vendor partners are located in the digital resource library. It's a library, just like you walk in a bookstore and you pick up a book and you look through the book and you go, yeah, that's what I want. It's basically Amazon shopping. You know, we use Expedia and Amazon. It's like shopping online for the well-vetted vendor partners that you need without having to do a whole lot of work. So again, thanks everybody for joining us. Happy August, and we'll see you next week on the Employers Healthcare Alliance Summer School Series number 5. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Kay.